My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Leos. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For today, I'm going to be doing your general reading, your past, present, future, your 9 card spread. I'm going to be using the regular tarot deck, clarify with the vampire deck, draw a special vampire card, draw a vampire oracle, and finish off with 3 yes or no answers for thee. But anyway, let's get started on your reading. Mm-hmm. General card is the Two of Pentacles, reversed. Feeling maybe a little bit overwhelmed? Okay. You start off with, in the past, King of Cups. Then you get the Devil reverse, Capricorn, okay. And then you have the Chariot, Cancer energy, You know what it looked like is that you were actually being presented with this kind of diplomatic offering, but there was also a real good sense of clarity of any kind of offering that took place, because the fact is that this offering also helped you release yourself from the devil, and especially, that you also managed to find your momentum and your inspiration again to actually head out and stuff. So, yeah, the thing is, it's like, but I would always be very careful with any kind of offerings, because even though it could release yourself from any kind of uncertainties, the devil, change, bindings, bondages, what have you, in other ways, the thing is you want to make sure that it is real, valid, and not just that it could have, potentially, like, will be some kind of swindling offering as well. But anyway, it's like, as long as you know that, the water is clear, it usually means it is quite healthy. When it's kind of murky, you don't know what's hiding behind anything, in the dark. But it does so far look incredibly promising, because I do love the fact that you actually boarded this beautiful opportunity of the Chariot, if you even have Cancer placements in your star chart. But this pretty much just shows that you have so much, yeah, that, it actually, was some kind of blessing in disguise kind of offering. Let's put it that way. I mean, at least, it freed you. But then we get to current times. 4 of Wands reversed, maybe not having much confidence within you. Queen of Pentacles. Whoops. Am I even, sometimes I just don't know. Queen of Pentacles. And then this one is a card I'm supposed to hold in reverse. The World upright. You know what I'm kind of getting is, it's like, maybe, with this beautiful Chariot, we're feeling, incredibly motivated and inspired. Yet somehow, you pretty much also could still get hit with uncertainties of feeling, oh goodness, who am I and what am I actually doing in current times and stuff like that. Yes, it's kind of like how waves are. 1 minute, you're up and down, up and down, up and down, stuff like that. Because I'm just wondering, if feeling a bit overwhelmed could also cause you to feel, like there's, I mean, I hope there's no actual domestic problems. I mean, hopefully you'll know your rights about that, but it could also feel, like, whatever, happens, with any person, it could also compromise other people and stuff like that. But the point is I feel that you pretty much just don't really have much confidence in current times. But yet you're trying to keep yourself as grounded and realistic and rational as possible, but you could also be a hardworking individual in other ways. But this is kind of like, I mean, maybe you are being offered some kind of like a job or career, but it looks incredibly promising, and it's freeing yourself from all kinds of like financial problems. But here you're pretty much also, struggling with a bit of, lack of faith, maybe some self-doubt. But here, well, you're doing an excellent job being a hard worker, and you're entering into this world, or you're actually, have the confidence to actually present yourself outside. But anyway, then we head off towards the future. Page of Pentacles, going out on a financial journey. Though then you get the High Priestess reversed, okay, and then you get hit with the Knight of Swords. You know what I'm mostly getting here, because I've even mentioned this to the past, the other, zodiac signs before you, is the future, row, I have past, present, future, but the future row is not particularly, focused on that it's guaranteed, because there's not always a guarantee for anything, right? It's mostly, what we could also be worried about, or what we crave and desire as well. Yes, you want to actually, head out on this financial journey, because like any of the pages, whether it's Page of Swords, Cups, or even Wands, or even Pentacles for that matter, is it's definitely heading out on this journey and voyage on hoping to find some kind of career. But yeah, you also feel kind of directionless. You feel like your senses and intuition, you pretty much, might be suffering from maybe lack of experience in other ways, and that's kind of putting you in a sense of feeling like this nightmare situation as well. But anyway, I want to kind of clarify that and just be rest assured it's just only a general reading, so it really doesn't have to, resonate with Leos in any way. You could still have other placements, that's, will resonate better. Okay. So you get this diplomatic offering, or you get some kind of, offering of some kind, and then you get Lovers. One of the cards I pulled for the Vampire. Okay, so this is an offering, that opened up a crossroads, or just pretty much opened up more opportunities and options for you. And so you pretty much just thought, okay, it's like, it's, it looks incredibly promising, whatever is pretty much, contributing. But yet the thing is, mind you with anything, because I'll always keep stressing what I'm about to say, is make sure with any kind of offering that is a legitimate offering, because I'll tell you, I think I mentioned this to maybe Gemini or Taurus, is that my human familiar went over, to some kind of store a few days ago. I was asleep, of course, but and so when he came out, he noticed that there was a piece of paper like on his window wiper thingy, whatever they're called. But anyway, so he looked at it because he first thought, is this like a ticket of something? No, it was a job offering. But it was very sparkly and very shiny with so many colors. The problem is, it's like, why would people be presenting offerings in a parking lot? What is the real big deal behind that? So, you want to make sure with any kind of offerings that it's not forced upon you. No, it's pretty much out there. You just have to go out and find it. And that's actually, the best way to go about it. People don't go looking for you for job offerings in other ways. No, you have to go out there and find it, right? But anyway, the thing is, I do see that something like that happened, but you want to make sure that's definitely an honest offering. Because even though, you might feel released from the devil, you get hit with the second Nine of Swords. So there's already something that's definitely holding you back. And what's putting all this, potential fear inside your mind, for that matter, because the problem is, it's like with any kind of, releasing, you want to make sure that it's definitely going to be releasing you and not just actually, loosening the chains. And then when you're close to actually exiting any kind of, like, situation, that it just doesn't hold you back in other ways as well. No, you just want to make sure that it's a real honest and valid offering, right? But yeah, it's like, you could definitely be released from any kind of devilish situation. Or even, breaking, negative patterns or routines, but yet something is, causing you to feel a bit of uneasiness, at least. Or at least, made you feel uneasy in the past. Okay. But here you are actually finally being released, and you're boarding this beautiful opportunity of the Cancer, of the Chariot, and you get Justice. So you could definitely be, heading off towards maybe a legal matter. Maybe justice is going to be on your side, or at least this could be taking place in the past. But either way, I do see that you're finally having the sense of motivation again, and you feel incredibly balanced as well. So the thing is sometimes, it's like with any kind of like releasing yourself of anything, I know, you guys are pretty much focused on the heart on so many ways, but the most important thing is to also kind of hope for the best. Because I'll tell you, even about this upcoming performance of the Danse Macabre that's going to be presented on October 31st, the thing is, it's pointless for me to actually have, all this, uncertainties and anxieties and stress about making sure that's actually going to be working out and stuff like that, right? Because if something is planned ahead, the thing is you don't know if the outcome is going to actually equal, what you want and dream and wish and desire, because sometimes all of these uncertainties can suddenly start raining down on you. And speaking of rain, I hope it doesn't rain on the evening that I'm going to be hosting my performance, and of course it's on a virtual manner, but still it's still going to be taken outside. But anyway, so it's always try to hope for the best. So here you are pretty much, with maybe, struggling with, confidence and a sense of, security about yourself, because you get hit with the Five of Wands. So this is probably you having to maybe deal with some personal struggles, personal problems and stuff like that. Yes, you are incredibly motivated and stuff, but yet what is actually, causing you to feel this sense of, tension? It's like, and that's the thing is, it's like you could be dealing with maybe, any kind of uncertainties, coming up or anyway, but it just looks like that, what's actually putting you in a position of like conflict and competition. I mean, I'm not really getting the word competition in other ways, but why would you suddenly be struggling with insecurities? Yeah, But the thing is, it's like it happens. One minute you feel like you're incredibly ambitious and motivated with, feeling balanced, and then the next day you just feel like thinking, oh goodness. I mean, I have those practically a lot myself, so that's why I can mostly kind of feel, whenever I get some of these cards right. But anyway, so for the Queen of Pentacles, you're probably a hardworking individual. You're in a realistic, grounded, maybe you might be in a very beautiful, like, well, being in a royal position. Of course, it's not per se one of your cards, but still being, some kind of royal card. But it's also being like in an abundant position, and you are actually putting time and effort with the Ace of Swords onto any kind of quest. And you know what I'm kind of getting here? Is you're, well, definitely, heading off outside and stuff like that. But what I'm kind of mostly getting here is this is kind of like the preparation work. And that's kind of how I even feel myself with any kind of preparation work, is that, you have to make sure that everything is organized. You need to make sure that, you're not going to, leave any important, like, documents or anything left behind. Like, if you're about to travel and stuff like that, it could put a lot of stress into people's minds to make sure that the luggage is okay, that the weight is okay, that this and that is okay, that you're going to make your flight, that there's no any kind of setbacks or problems that could potentially, disrupt your flow of your journey, right? But other than that, it just looks like that you're finally taking action and you're kind of counteracting the whole Five of Wands. Because by going out into this world, you get Nine of Pentacles, abundance waiting for you. I love this. So this is where you're pretty much actually just already kind of giving yourself a really good reassurance that it's all going to work out. Yes, we're going to head out into this world. We're going to go out on this journey. Everything's just going to be benefiting us in so many ways. So the thing is you just have to actually just, believe in the whole situation, hope for a beautiful outcome, and just try to remain as optimistic as possible. Yes, you could be feeling overwhelmed about any kind of upcoming event, just like me. But you could still be feeling overwhelmed about any kind of voyage or quest you're going to be taking and stuff like that. But I just see you actually heading out into this world with so much abundance as well. So, be rest assured, try to stay as optimistic as possible. I mean, that's how I even try to tell myself on so many ways. Page of Pentacles, going out on maybe a new financial voyage or endeavor. You get Prince of Scepters and Knight of Wands. More positivity and ambition heading off towards you as well. So here's the thing, it's like I just see you actually, gaining so much new experiences. Maybe you are definitely heading off towards a new job in the future. But what I mostly want to always, mention about, like, my future cards, for example, because we're not quite there to actually experience it and whether or not it'll happen, but it's usually what we want, dream, wish, and desire. And what do you want to actually desire? You probably want to be in a really beautiful, abundant position. You probably want to have, opportunities of finances. You want to actually regain your sense of motivation and inspiration in the future again, right? So that's what I mostly see, is that, it's like, well, you are actually releasing yourself of so much, anxieties, negativity, self-doubts, lack of faith, and now you're finally, regaining your sense of momentum. Because despite the High Priestess reverse of thinking, oh goodness, we're actually heading off without any kind of experiences and what have you in other ways, but you get the second Queen of Pentacles. So here, it's pretty much, you're actually heading off towards this job or career, but you don't really have much experiences in other ways. But yet, just be rest assured that either A, may or may not happen, but it's truly what you want, dream, wish, and desire. Because if you're heading off towards any kind of career and you pretty much don't have much experiences about it in other ways, it's best just to kind of keep yourself as grounded and realistic as possible. And always just hope for the best and don't always assume the worst. It's easy to always just think, oh goodness, I'm going to miss my flight. Oh goodness, my luggage is going to get lost. Oh goodness, this and that is going to happen. It's a common feeling, and well, please, just we'll do whatever it is, process whatever you need to process, and we'll allow anything to flow through and stuff like that. However, the best way is to always keep yourself as grounded as possible. Because despite the Nine of Swords of thinking, oh goodness, it's like it's just going to be one big nightmare situation, because you get the Moon. I see you heading off towards, the beautiful squiggly line of the Mounds of Opportunity, because the thing is, maybe you're actually releasing yourself of worries and uncertainties, but this could also be you just thinking, oh goodness, I'm worried about this voyage, But it could also be that you just think, I'm just going to head away from all of that, well, fears and stuff like that. And sometimes you just kind of have to push yourself through all of these fears. Like when, whether you're about to, face an exam or a test, or you're about to travel, is even though you might feel incredibly jittery, your heart is racing, you feel, like anything and stuff like that, is just to proceed with it nonetheless. Because the thing is, it's like if you pretty much just hold back and you think, okay, it's just going to be one big nightmare situation, you're going to stay in a nightmare situation. You're not going to be able to tell yourself if it's ever going to be okay in the end, right? So either way, you just have to kind of force yourself, and that's why I love the fact that you have motivation at the start of the future. But sometimes, fear could also be a motivator in a sense where you actually have to remind yourself, yes, I have to wake up at this early time frame. Yes, I have to make sure that this and that. I have to double check like 10 times, even though I feel beyond it, I'm anxious about it, but yet here you are pretty much proceeding with it either way. Wow. Because your special vampire card says Three of Pentacles. So the thing is about the Three of Pentacles is pretty much, like you have so much support, coming from other people. You probably have so many good understandings, your friends, your family, whoever's out there. But, you have the Three of Pentacles of being in like a collaborations kind of setting. And so you're never going to be alone. But hypothetically, if you are literally alone, like, me sitting, here right now giving readings and stuff like that, your senses and intuition are still always going to be there. And the best way to kind of counteract any kind of uneasy feelings is like even how this other Leo, speaking of Leos, this neighbor of mine, who's about to pretty much take off and head off towards a different direction. But I just remember her, actually telling her family or her spouse or something about how, he was kind of, suffering from, self-doubt as well. And what she more or less did was she kind of calmed him down and said, and just write down all of your amazing qualities and watch that beautiful list grow. And the thing is, it's like if you've overcome any kind of setbacks, obstacles, fears, anxieties, is to remind yourself of all of those, greatest achievements, and to actually say, if I can handle that, I can handle what's going to be facing me, coming up real soon. In an act of reassurance, there's no guarantee, but actually just reassure yourself that it's still going to be okay either way, even though you might just feel incredibly overwhelmed. Just know that you're never alone. An oracle wants to say love conquers all, enduring loyalty, eternal love, and lasting commitment. So, it's like this is pretty much what you have to actually give yourself, is always devote and commit 100% to yourself, and don't feel like, oh goodness, it's like, of course, it depends on the circumstance, but always believe in yourself. Always just, give yourself always the greatest qualities ever, to say, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm strong, I'm capable. All of these great qualities that mostly resonate with you and you alone, and to say, this is how I feel about my whole current existence. Yes, let's say that 99% of the world is against you, as long as that one beautiful percentage is still on your side. Well, that's still the most important person that you should always be, always, looking towards, and not just think, oh goodness, it's like, everybody's against me, I just feel so alone and blah, blah, blah. Okay, it happens. I felt alone too. But just always know that you always have yourself as your biggest and greatest support of eternal love. Okay, I'm going to finish off with 3 yes or no answers. Please feel free to pause this video and think about the questions you want answered. For number 1, you get a no with the 10 of Wands. For number 2, you get a no for the Knight of Cups reversed. And for number 3, you actually do get a yes with the second moon. So you actually get 1 yes and 2 no's for today's reading. And look at that beautiful squiggly path. But other than that, I'm going to have to leave it at that for my beautiful Leos. If this reading resonated for Leos, Leo placements out in this world, please feel free to join and subscribe if this reading resonated, because I want to thank you so much for joining me. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, I'm going back to love readings. Next week, I'm going back to Dracula because we're heading off towards that spooky holiday. And please feel free to stick around for the upcoming performance. Of course, it's going to be on a virtual note, but still, I just want to invite you all to, to watch and stuff like that if you're ever interested. But other than that, again, thank you so much for joining me. I want to wish you all the best of luck. Try to always, always be there for yourself, even though if you could be struggling with some kind of nightmares and stuff like that, always be your best comfort and greatest support nonetheless. But otherwise, thank you so much, and I love you guys incredibly.